So the result is known. Trump has won against all the odds, taken the whole world by surprise, and has, well, probably shattered the Clintons and the Democrats. Where do you think America is at the moment? And then we'll go on to Trump and Hillary afterwards. Where does it place America at the moment?
At worst, America could be in the path of a tsunami almost. All sorts of terrible and destructive things are possible if this man Trump is half as irresponsible as he appeared to be. He appeared to be a person who reacted in the most thin-skinned and animalistic way to problems, not in any way sitting back and looking at it in a measured, wise, statesmanlike way. The very apotheosis of unwisdom and the very opposite of statesmanship.
Well, why do they fall for that?
Because of the very particular situation that America is in at the moment. In so many countries in the developed world, you have a disconnect. In other words, where the vast mass of the public, when they talk of politics, do not ally themselves with the main political parties of the day. We have a classic situation here in Britain. In 1945, the Labour Party and the Conservatives, between them, got 91% of the vote. Only 9% covered all the others together. Do you know that figure from 91% had shrunk a great deal at the last election? Do you know what it was? 56.
That's right. So half the people.
So 44%
Yes.
of the people
Yeah.
did not ally themselves with
the two major parties.
That's the short point. And it's true in Germany and in France and in Italy as well. And it's true in the United States of America. No doubt the Republicans are still a strong force. And the Democratic Party is a strong and well-organized force. But the vast bulk of the people are disassociated from both of them.
Now, is that because of globalization, inequality, what's happened over the last 10, 20 years? You know what I mean? The financial crash has meant that the lowest 30% in society feel they're left out.
I'm not an historian, and I don't pretend to be an expert in any way at all on America. It seems to me, looking from afar, that you have these features. You think in Britain how easy it is, if you really put your mind to it, to build up a feeling against London, whether you do it in the north of England or whether you do it in Wales.
Or Scotland.
Or Scotland.
Yeah.
London can appear very, very far away.
Yeah.
Just imagine that you are doing the same thing in the southwestern corner of California.
Yes.
If my calculation is right, about 5,000 miles away
from
Washington.
Yeah.
How much
easier?
Up
in Arkansas.
Secondly, you've got a country, of course, that is essentially going back a few generations of immigrants.
Yeah.
Those immigrants came there, brave people, challenging difficult and cruel conditions. But they came there with a hope and the belief that somehow or another, once they had got in, that there was a glue of new citizenship, of hope, of equality, and so on. That glue, I think, is not as adhesive as it was.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure it isn't. Yeah.
So there's that factor as well.
So along comes this man.
And then you have suddenly this maverick, a buffoon, but a very dangerous buffoon, a megalomaniac. If a tenth of what he has been saying is true, and that he really meant it, we're in a very, very dangerous situation. It may be that he didn't mean it. It may be that he's a man who so bullied himself in boardrooms, cheated his way, and sailing very close to the wind in business, all along has bluffed his way, and that he doesn't really mean
what he said.
The proliferation of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean
the wall with Mexico.
The wall, nor indeed throwing out 11 million
Muslims or whatever. Yeah.
And so on. It may not be. It's demagoguery, but it's very dangerous and very upsetting demagoguery.
So What went wrong for Hillary Clinton?
First of all, I think there was that structural situation where you found millions and millions and millions of Americans who were discontented with life and disconnected from the major parties,
Yeah.
both Democrat and
they did not regard Trump as a Republican.
they didn't regard Trump as a Republican.
He was semi-independent.
They regarded him as a new breath of wind.
Yes.
And imagine you see that you are a steel worker in Pennsylvania or in Ohio who lost your job. At one time, 20 years ago, you were earning a very good wage,
yes,
and enjoying a high standard of living. Quite suddenly, all that has disappeared. Life has become dust and ashes. Now, actually, a lot of that has happened because of mechanization, not because the Chinese have come in or anybody else.
Yeah.
It's all to do with mechanization. Robots are doing the jobs
yes,
that people are doing 20 or 30 years ago. And if Trump were truthful, he would say that, but that's not his case. He says it's all due to these pacts that you've made with other countries.
That's right.
Flooding it in.
All the treaties and
The truth in that is very minuscule, and it's not the situation. It's not the factor that brought about the situation, but he's traded heavily on that, and he has succeeded enormously.
And yet Hillary she didn't break through and explain to people the reality of things. I found her speeches pretty artificial, superficial. She never dealt with the issues.
I think there are two things that one should say. First, the structural situation. Looking at the structure of American politics, most people who were utterly neutral and independent were saying the Democrats have got an inbuilt majority. In other words, they have safe seats which amount to something equivalent to about 220 electoral votes. You know that 270
That's
votes
right.
is
So
already.
they get very close anyway.
They only need 50 from the swing seats.
Yeah.
The others are 50 behind.
Yeah.
They need 100. They were totally wrong. It's the other way around.
Yes.
In fact, unbeknown to the pollsters, by now there is a natural Republican, or put it like this, there is natural anti-democratic majority.
Yeah, well, you see, Minnesota, Michigan,
Yes.
Ohio,
Yes.
natural Democrat territory when Trump.
You see, Trump managed to sweep up all the swing states.
And the discontent.
And of course, the periphery.
Yeah.
What is
But
it?
tell me, that's because these videos of ours, tell me, Hillary, what was the problem? What were the weaknesses?
So I think you've got, first of all, the structural situation there, which would have affected anybody, irrespective of who was candidate.
Yeah.
And then you have the personal aspect, as far as she was concerned. A remarkable woman. She's been First Lady, she's been the Senator for New York, and she's been Minister of Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And an extremely able person in all those capacities. But she's been there for 30 years. She's a fading photograph. And the public has got a very short patience, I think, with most people. After 30 years, then
that's a long time.
A long time, and you've faded a very great deal in that period.
And the issues have come and gone, whether it's emails or Libya or whatever.
She's done one or two. She's done one or two silly things. She's shown arrogance and selfishness, but I don't think she's done anything really awful. But nevertheless, for the last 10 years, there's been a campaign of poison against her. Drip.
Why do you think is that?
Drip. Oh, because those who belong to the right-wing politics of America were determined to crock her.
Yes.
And they did.
And they saw who the danger was after Obama.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So they knew they had to deal with Hillary Clinton.
She was the target. They concentrated their poison on the target, and it stuck.
So where are we now then? President Trump, is he going to carry out all the nonsense he spoke about, or will he be reined in by the Congress, the senior people?
I don't think he'll build the wall. I don't think that he will throw out the 11 million illegal immigrants, as he called them. And I think that it may very well be, perhaps in 6 months' time, he will become an establishment figure. Think of the geometry of it in this way. He won because he was against the establishment.
Yes.
He won because he was against the state.
Yeah, he is.
He is now the state.
He is the state. But now the question then is, what about all those millions up in the north?
Yes.
What about all those people who put their trust in him?
Remember the words
He's going to let them down, isn't he?
Louis XIV. I am the state. L'État, c'est moi.
Yeah.
I am the establishment.
Yeah. So he's yeah.
So it's a totally different role. Whereas before his success depended upon what he called draining the swamp. In other words, challenging the establishment to its very core.
Yeah.
Now he is the establishment.
Yes. So all those millions, tens of millions, who believed in how he's going to break all that, they're going to be very quickly disillusioned, aren't they?
Well, it's not impossible. Life is very strange and can be very bountiful. Even people like Trump do change, and high office has changed many a person, for better or for worse.
Yes.
It may be in 6 months' time that he will rapidly becoming an establishment figure because he is the establishment.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. See how it goes.
Yes.
Eh? It's going to be interesting times. It's an interesting time for the world. His relationship with China, with Putin, with India, with us in Britain. You know, there are so many imponderables, aren't there?
Is it going to be Fortress America? Is it going to be an isolationist attitude toward the rest of the world? Or is it going to be something else? Putin obviously wanted to see him win. Not so much possibly because he admired him, probably because he could see that he'd be a disruptive force.
Yes.
And anything that causes doubt, division...
He's happy.
He's happy.
Yeah.
And it may be that it was nothing more than that sort of B-mindedness towards Western democracy.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what happens as time goes on. Diolch, take care.